Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a major transport and geopolitical issue that recently caught global attention. Why hundreds of freight trains ended up stuck at the Poland-Belarus border. This isn't just a story about delays or logistics. It's a story about politics, security, economics, and the way global trade can be disrupted almost overnight. I'm going to walk you through everything in clear, short paragraphs, just as you requested, and build a full, long-form script without any headings. The situation began when Poland made a sudden decision to close its border with Belarus, including major rail crossings that are normally used by freight trains traveling between China, Belarus, and the European Union. These rail routes are essential for moving goods across the continent, so shutting them down created an immediate bottleneck that left hundreds of trains unable to move. Poland announced the closure abruptly, and the reason they gave was national security. At the time of the closure, Russia and Belarus were conducting joint military exercises. These drills raised serious concerns in Warsaw, which has had long-standing tensions with Minsk. Because of this, Poland's government decided that the safest option was to temporarily stop all rail traffic coming through Belarus. The moment the border shut, trains were forced to halt on the Belarusian side. Many of them had already been traveling for days across Asia, loaded with everything from electronics to machinery to food products. Instead of reaching their European destinations, they ended up sitting idle at the border, forming long lines on tracks that normally stay busy around the clock. The number of trains affected climbed quickly. By the time the closure had been in effect for a short while, more than 300 trains were either directly blocked at the crossings or backed up along the rail lines. These trains represented not just physical cargo, but also millions of dollars in delayed shipments and disrupted schedules. Many of the trains carried time-sensitive goods, for example, certain food products, medical supplies, and temperature-controlled items cannot sit for long periods without risk. Companies that rely on efficient delivery were suddenly forced to wait without knowing when their shipments would finally move again. On top of this were financial implications. Rail transport between China and Europe has become crucial for global supply chains. It's faster than sea transport and far cheaper than air freight. Every day of delay increases costs for logistics providers, retailers, and manufacturers. The businesses receiving these goods in Europe were forced to absorb those losses or try to explain the delays to their customers. The closure also placed Belarus in a difficult position. Belarus acts as a major transit country for rail shipments coming from Asia. Having hundreds of trains stranded inside its territory created logistical pressure, storage issues, and concerns among foreign partners who depend on reliable transit. China, too, was monitoring the situation closely. Over the past decade, China has invested heavily in rail links to Europe as part of its larger trade strategy. The blockage at the Poland-Belarus border served as a reminder that even the best infrastructure is vulnerable when geopolitical tensions rise. After several days, Poland reopened the border, but reopening the border didn't make the backlog vanish instantly. Rail companies had to work non-stop to clear more than a week's worth of stranded trains. Even with full efforts, experts estimated it would take up to 10 days or more to return things to normal. During that time, every train had to be processed, inspected, and cleared in sequence. Trains that should have moved within hours were stuck waiting for days. And even after getting across the border, many still faced delays further along the route because congestion had spread like a ripple effect. The companies handling these shipments described the situation as one of the most serious blockages in recent years. Some said they had to reorganize their entire logistics network on the fly. Others said their clients were demanding answers, but there was nothing they could do except wait. The root cause of all this is the growing tension between Poland and Belarus. In recent years, Poland has built significant border defenses along the frontier: fences, barriers, cameras, and patrol systems. The border is seen as a dividing line not just between two countries, but between two political blocs with competing interests. Poland's decision to close the border was meant to signal seriousness regarding national security. However, the economic costs for both sides were immediate. Trade slowed, businesses complained, supply chains suffered, and political pressure increased as companies pushed for faster action to reopen crossings. But even with the reopening, the message from Poland was clear. They reserve the right to close the border again if they feel threatened. That uncertainty makes logistics companies nervous. They need predictability. A rail route that may shut down unexpectedly is a risky one to depend on. This event has led many analysts to question whether future disruptions are likely. Some believe this may become more common as political tensions continue. If border closures happen more frequently, companies might be forced to find alternative trade routes, even if they are slower or more expensive. Some companies are already exploring options that bypass Belarus entirely, but those routes often involve longer distances or more complicated transfers. Others are increasing their use of sea freight, which is more stable but takes much longer. The rail corridor through Belarus has been attractive precisely because it is efficient when it's allowed to function normally. The blockage also raises bigger questions about infrastructure resilience. How quickly can countries respond when a major artery of trade is suddenly cut off? What systems are in place to help manage backlogs? And how can businesses protect themselves from political risks that they cannot control? There is also the human side to consider. Workers at the border, train operators, and logistics staff were suddenly overwhelmed by the flood of backed-up trains. They had to work long hours to sort out the chaos. Many described the situation as exhausting but unavoidable. For the European Union, this incident highlighted the need for better coordination when dealing with sudden border closures. Some argued that Poland should have given more notice. Others countered that security concerns sometimes demand immediate action. Either way, the event exposed the fragile balance between security and commerce. The relationship between Poland and Belarus has been tense for years, so this situation didn't come out of nowhere. But the scale of the disruption took many people by surprise. Analysts said the region had not seen a rail blockade of this magnitude in a long time. As of now, the trains have largely moved through, and operations are returning to normal. But the memory of hundreds of trains stranded at the border hasn't faded. Companies are reviewing their strategies. Governments are reevaluating their border management policies. And observers are wondering whether this incident is a one-off or a sign of things to come. For now, the lesson seems clear. Global trade depends heavily on smooth cross-border cooperation, and even a single political decision can disrupt thousands of businesses. Whether this situation will encourage more stability or more caution in the future remains to be seen. And although the trains have started rolling again, the broader questions remain unresolved. Will Poland close the border again if tensions rise? Will Belarus and its allies respond differently next time? Will companies trust this corridor as much as they did before? Those are questions without easy answers. What we can say is that the incident revealed just how interconnected and vulnerable the modern supply chain truly is. One political decision can cause a traffic jam stretching hundreds of miles and thousands of rail cars. And that's something policymakers and businesses will likely pay attention to for a long time. Thank you for watching, and thank you for sticking with this deep dive. If you found this breakdown helpful, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe for more global explanation videos just like this one.